Macron got stabbed in the back by his own people, criticised by France fishermen on fishing licence. Fisheries are demanding scores more licences for their vessels, accusing Emmanuel Macron of failing to secure their demands. Fishermen in the Hauts-de-France region have accused Britain of still holding back on 65 permits. Under the terms of last year's trade deal, fishing licences must be granted to all vessels which have historically used British waters. A ferocious dispute has broken out between the UK and France since the end of the transition period at the start of this year as to whether licences are fairly being issued. Emmanuel Macron's government issued a series of threats in October and November, vowing to retaliate against the UK if licences were not granted. Galiay, the representative to the UK for the Hauts-de-France region, said, "What local people say is that they are still short of about 65 licences." He said in recent weeks up to 40 new licenses had been granted to fisheries. The progress came after close collaboration between the UK and EU to provide the necessary paperwork for a licence to be issued. Fisheries are required to provide proof of catching in the waters at least one day a year between 2012 and 2016 to be eligible for a licence. Officials in London showed flexibility by allowing vessels that have been replaced due to old age to still be allowed licences despite the lack of historic data. However, Mr Galiay warned more needed to be done if French fishing communities were to be kept happy. "It's good some progress has been made on that front, but so far it's still not fully solved in terms of the overall issue," he said as he urged Mr Macron to find a solution. "All locals want really is results. For them this is not just a political issue, it's really about their livelihoods and being able to continue living just as they have for years or even decades." Europe Minister Clement Beaune, known as an attack dog for Emmanuel Macron, warned that legal action over licences for French vessels to use British waters will begin in the very first days of January. The threat comes after months of wrangling over the number of boats given approval by the UK and Jersey authorities. French fishermen claim that they are entitled to licences under the terms of the trade deal with the EU, and have staged repeated protests including blocking access to ports on the continent. However, Britain insists only boats that provide evidence they were using the waters before Brexit happened need to be given permission. The dispute has not subsided despite a number of extra licences being granted to French boats over recent weeks. Earlier this week it emerged that French fleets had abandoned a threat to blockade Christmas goods from reaching the UK because they wanted a holiday. Industry bosses said many skippers take time off for the festive period, so they scrapped their long-standing plan to punish Britain this week by blockading ports and the Channel Tunnel. The protest won't happen during the festive period. "It's on standby. We will look at it again at the start of January," said Olivier Lepreter, chairman of Northern France Fisheries Committee. Some of the fishermen wanted to act on the 23rd and the others wanted to protest on the 4th after the holidays. It divided people straight away. France has said it will formally ask EU to start legal proceedings against the UK for not issuing more licenses in January. It hopes the action will put further pressure on the government to issue more permits. Officials in London insist they have granted licenses to all vessels which have supplied the necessary evidence. They say more than 98% of applications have been granted and they will continue to assess new documentation brought forward. Critical of President Macron's combative approach, Mr Galiay added, "I see the French government has now asked the EU to launch specific action against the UK to make sure the licenses are provided. What I think in my view is unfortunate is that all that should be solved through political dialogue between France and the UK. It's unfortunate these kinds of means are used by the French government to achieve that end."